This tutorial is by Cooper Collier, lead programmer with WatersWebWorks.com. Please visit our TeamDesk expert listing if you need assistance or have any questions, and we'll be happy to help.
So here we are, and I jumped back to the main tutorial and went ahead and made a cars and a colors for the cars table. So what we're going to try to do is apply multiple colors to each type of vehicle. So we jump over to setup, and the very first thing we're going to do is going to create that development branch. Boom. Development branch, when we do the multiple references, it is extremely important. These things can get messed up in no time whatsoever. So actually making this dev branch is going to save your, save it a lot. So now we have our cars, and what we want to do is pick colors here. So let's go over to setup, put it in a new tab. I'm going to look at it, and I have cars and cars' colors. I made it that way so they sorted this way and made a little bit of sense. And all these others are just other tables we work with. We have these two tables. In cars, let's look. All I have is the model of the car. That's it. One column other than the system columns. In colors, all I have is a color. So car colors gets a color. That's it. And the ID. Made it so we can, this way, so we can see exactly what happens. Those are all that has to happen. So on the car side, I want to pick colors. So I'm going to hit reference here, and I'm going to pick car colors. This one says I want to pick one color. So for each one of my cars, they can have a color. That's it. This one says for each of my cars, I want to pick lots of colors. Any color I want, multiple colors. And that's simple to pick right here, but when we, on a database level and programming level, it is the most complicated thing you can do with a relation. So once we save it, all kinds of stuff is going to happen in the background. Let's take a look. Ta-da! We have it. Now we go over here and edit. We can pick colors, but it's a different picker than we're used to. Usually you can pull down and pick one thing and save it. You can, but now we can pick two things. Awesome. Now I save, I have blue and green. Down here, I can pick blue and green. I can pick as many colors as I want for every one of these. Yellow Thunderbird. There we go. Everyone wants one of those. One or many. That's nice. It's simple. But let's go back in and look. We go back here, and what did we add? Well, for cars, we've added this multi-reference, and notice it says multi-reference. And we have a selection that says select from cars equals ID equals car. Now, that's a little odd because this is the table name to select from. And there's no such, wait a second, there is a table called cars, color, cars. What is that? We didn't make that table? No. That when we selected many too many, the system made this table. And let's look at that table real quick. This table is very interesting because suddenly it has a car, which is a reference to the table car, reference over here, and car color, which is a reference to car's color. And along with those references, it has, with these column references, it has the references down here that do the same thing, and along with lookups. And then we look over here in car color where we weren't even in, and we've added another relation. This is suddenly incredibly confusing because are we getting our color from here, but this one's in here? So the first thing we want to do to make this make sense is, remember I said if we put a name on any of our relations, if we edit it and we give it a name, I'm going to call this one A. And then we're going to go over here and call this one, what should we call it? B. Yeah, there. Now we can have our relation A and B. And if we go over here to cars and look, B is over here. So that matches. And this one here has A. Okay. Now to explain how this works, there's just no way I'm going to explain it by jumping back and forth. So we're going to jump into PowerPoint again because it's going to be slightly easier to understand this. So there we are. We're in PowerPoint. And what I did is I put the column for cars, colors, and so each of these tables is right here. And all the columns are laid out just like this. So let's figure out what is going on. We're going to look at each little thing in confusing detail because, quite frankly, this is confusing, but let's give it a shot here. So what are these relations? How do they all tie together? So first, we're going to look here. This name of on top here, the names of the tables actually mean something. So what that is a compilation of the two here. So when you see a name like this is saying table this and table this. It just puts them together. And the order it doesn't really matter because they're tied together, but that's how it does it. Typically, we rename these, and I'll show you that at a later time, but we rename them to make it clear, very, very clear, that they're a linked table, because linked tables are especially important. The next thing is the model comes from right here. This is a lookup. So that's a lookup going here. And those are kind of out of order, but that's okay. So this relation here in the lookup column is picking up from the car table. It's saying use the car table right here. And it's saying pick the car table from what's in this reference right here. And what's going to be in that reference after we do some selections is the ID number from cars. So we want to use this reference here from cars. The next thing it does is it says it makes the relation on this side. This is the reference, this is the relation, and it says use the new link table, color cars, right here. And it's saying where the ID, and it's this ID, is equal to the ID that's in here. See? And this is the one that we actually select. That's where we put the number at when we make a selection. So we have accounted for these columns. Boom, 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 boom. Those are used in this side of the many-to-many relation reference. Now, on this side, we have the relation, and it's going to say use table car colors over here, and we want the reference to that. What goes in there is this ID right here. on this relation side, this is the relation, this reference there. Remember, this together is the relation. This is the reference side. This is what we call the relation side, and the terminology is confusing. But we're relating to this table right here, where this ID is equal to what is in car color right there, like before. And we have a lookup here that looks up the value from here. When we get done, we have used up those columns. So this is why it's vitally important to make that reference and do other things to identify your link tables and what's used. Every one of these columns is important for this entire thing to work. If any one of them gets changed in certain ways or removed, the whole multi-reference just stops working. And then people get stuck and they lose their multi-reference and they start yelling for help. And in some cases, we just can't help. There's no way to recover it if you accidentally delete part of it. But we try our best. So, but the thing is, we've accounted for all these, but not this one. This one here is special, and that's what we're using. And it doesn't have any of the normal links like a reference. When we do a reference, a plain reference, we actually have it linking someplace. But the multi-reference doesn't. You can't actually see where it's linking and which one it is because it just isn't named in there. So when you work with the multi-reference, it's very important you start naming these so you know what is related to or being used to make this multi-reference work. So let's see how kind of if we're looking at it, what we have here is this is the result of the multi-reference, and I put the columns down here so you can see it so we can kind of see how they work. And what happens here is when it's blue, it goes, okay, I noticed when I did this, this is just wickedly confusing to try to explain it here. So what I'm going to do, and I did in my example, one that I used to make this, is I'm going to do what you shouldn't do, and I'm going to remove these lookups on you, and I'm going to do some little cheating here. So what it's going to end up is going to make this look simpler, right? What we're going to have is this link table with just the IDs, the references. They're there, no lookups. So all you see is the columns that hold the IDs. Those are the only ones that are super, super important. The lookups just put text that people understand, but the real identifier is the ID. That's the ID column for these over here. So what's happening here is when you want to fill in this colors, when the program first starts, it's going to say, hey, just a second, let's look for this table here and let's look up and see what goes in this column for a Civic. And that's number 5. So we can add 5, and we need that 5 is equal to 4 in here. See the poo poo. So here we want to enter the 4. For the Pinto, hey, there's 2 entries, so we want a 3 and a 4. So what the system does is it fills in this based on this table. So every time you load up your screen for cars and look at your view, it says, okay, let's look over here and see how many 2s there are, and then enter them right here. So car 2 has a 3 and a 4. Car 3 has a 3. Car 4 has a 5. And there could be multiple. So for every record in our link table, it's going to fill those in. But then the next thing it does is does this awesome magic and that's where it comes in to put the actual color in here, because people aren't real good at remembering that 4 is equal to a certain color. So what it does is it does this little trip through all these relations to take the number here that's in here and match it up with the color here. So, and honestly, it's magic. It really is. The TeamDesk guys do this in the back end, and I don't even try to understand that part, and you shouldn't either. Just know that all these pieces are required, including the lookups. I removed the lookups, which made the colors disappear. But once we go through and find out that it's going to go over here and look up the number and then pick the color from that, ta-da, it magically puts those in. That's how it works. So all this explains us getting, and sorry, let's click that one. Oh, there it is. Getting these colors and get to select them. And once we do all that, that's what we get. And there is quite a bit more to this, but in general, that's how it works. And you need to protect that table there. That table is vitally important, and all the links to it. So we're going to look at that in detail shortly.